Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So the barber trims my beard all nice, like an artist. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. I wanted the beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible.
The passion.
Rafael Devers is the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday to you on the Brady Farkas Show, WDEV AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Show tonight, 50 minutes long. We're up until 6:20, and then we bring you Red Sox baseball. Sox looking to get to 2 games split with the Atlanta Braves. First pitch is 7:20. Brian Bayo is on the mound, and he's being opposed by a bullpen game. Dylan Lee pitching in this one for Atlanta, at least at the start. You can get in on the text line, 802-585-3026. You can also watch us on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on my Twitter account as well. Let's waste 0 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts in the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I am truly floored by what we saw from the Celtics yesterday. I am not a parent, but I have parents. And I feel like today I'm so in shock. I'm not even angry. I'm more just disappointed and embarrassed. Like today, I think I am so shocked that I'm incapable of anger in this. My jaw is just on the ground by what we saw last night. I mean, the Celtics were destroyed in every part of last night's game. 115-103 was the final. 3-2 is now the series deficit. We go back to Philly for game 6. The Celtics can, of course, still win this series, but I, at this point, do not have faith that they're going to, but they can. But last night was dejecting and discouraging in every single facet of it. And let me mention this before I get into the game in particular, because I want to make note of this. I want to hold myself accountable. I said the Celtics would win. I said I thought the Celtics would win by between 12 and 18. I ultimately predicted they win by 16. So I predicted a home team would win a game 5 by 16 points. Go look at what Denver did against Phoenix yesterday. That is exactly what Denver did. Denver won by 16 points at home in a game 5. So my idea of a home team controlling the thing from start to finish, winning by double digits, winning going away, and ultimately winning by 16, that was not an outrageous ask. That was wholly possible. That is what happened for Denver against Phoenix. Now, to the Celtics, who were beaten by 12 points, it was completely deflating and completely embarrassing. Yesterday, I said, I can't even fathom any other outcome than the Celtics winning big. I couldn't fathom the Celtics winning close. I couldn't fathom the Celtics losing close. I could certainly not fathom the Celtics getting blown out of the gym, their own gym, in game 5. Malcolm Brogdon talked about it being a must win and needing to bring the energy. It was there for the taking. We don't need that. It was there for the taking, and they blew it. And they blew it in embarrassing fashion. Everything the Celtics did yesterday was poor. The effort at the beginning of the game was terrible. The shot making most of the night was terrible. You'd make a little run. The ability to sustain it was terrible. I thought the Celtics would make a big run in the second quarter. They got close. They couldn't sustain it. I thought they'd blitz Philly after halftime. They couldn't. They got outscored by 7 in the third quarter. Every time there was a little bit of momentum, Philly met it. Just an embarrassing and disappointing performance. And if I had kids, I would think this is where you put on the disappointed face and not the mad face. I mean, go look up and down the box score. Celtics shot 31% from 3. Philly shot 40%. Celtics got out-rebounded by 13. And considering how many shots the Celtics missed, you would think they would have had opportunities to get rebounds. They couldn't. Philly had 5 players in double figures. You had 3. I didn't think that the Sixers could do enough special to win that game. I said they couldn't get 50 from Embiid. They didn't. I said I didn't think Harden would go off and be the game 1-4 James Harden. He didn't. I thought that was it for the special that Philly could bring. And there's Tyrese Maxey to give you 30 points and dash your hopes. I thought the Celtics' other guys could fill in the gaps better than Philly's could. I trusted Malcolm Brogdon. I trusted Al Horford. I trusted Derek White. Didn't happen. Tyrese Maxey gets the 30. I needed Derek White to get 20. I needed Al Horford to bring 17. I needed something special. Malcolm Brogdon to get 23 again. Like he played well against Atlanta. None of it happened. All the X Factor stuff went to Philly. It was embarrassing. I saw a slew of amazing stats in this game, right? Al Horford going 0 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 7 from 3, 0 for 6 from 3 in the first half. The most threes missed without a make in the first half of any Celtics playoff game in history. I also saw this. In the regular season, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, when they score 60 points or more, the Celtics are 37-8. In the playoffs, when they score 60 points or more, the Celtics are 5-4. What does that tell you? The regular season is different than the playoffs. You need the other guys in the playoffs. You need other things to happen. Right? Jokic got 53 in game 4 for Denver and lost. You need other things to happen. Philly got it yesterday with Maxey, with House. You got nothing from anybody not named Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And by the way, Jason Tatum, who finished with 36, he's not immune from this criticism either. Jason Tatum has missed 14 straight shots in the first quarter in this series. Right? No field goals in the first quarter yesterday. You cannot have that. We talk about getting off to a good start. We talk about getting in rhythm early. I said I thought the Celtics would be up by 8 to 10 at the end of the first quarter, and said you're down 7 and your star is scoreless. Cannot have that. Cannot have that. 0 of 14 in the first quarter for Tatum over the last couple of games. That's one miss shy of the worst shooting first quarter stretch of any player in the last 25 years. You can't just loaf through the first quarter and think you're going to turn it on. You can't. And that's what's happened. Everybody's part of this. The Celtics are 7-9 in their last 16 home games in the playoffs. How do you do that? You play all year to have home court advantage, and then you go and squander it. And it's not just this year, it's multiple years. 7-9 in your last 16 home games. You cannot have it. You cannot do it. It's embarrassing what the Celtics have put on display at home. I don't even know how that's possible. They say the series doesn't start until the road team wins. Well, the Celtics give up home court advantage easier than anybody else that I feel like in NBA history for a team that's good, for a team that's a top 2-3 seed every year. And then I told you all along I was worried about the Celtics potentially fracturing. Well, did you hear the comments from Jaylen Brown after the game? Jaylen Brown was asked about what he thought went wrong for the Celtics. This is what he said.
Definitely get more organized, maintain our spacing. I feel like we got, kind of the same looks over and over again. We got a lot of open looks, and we didn't make shots tonight. But I think that we can be better, and I think that we will be better.
Go back to the very beginning, right here.
Definitely get more organized.
I mean, look, I think Jaylen Brown is very smart. We know he's very smart. Well-spoken, went to Cal. Jaylen Brown's got it all. When Jaylen Brown talks, he's talking with a message. And I think Jaylen Brown likes to use the media to give messages, and I don't necessarily love that. Jaylen Brown says we need to get more organized. Who's he talking to? Is he sending a shot at his head coach, who everybody just spent days bashing because he didn't call timeout at the end of Game 4, and now it's carrying over into Game 5 where the head coach needs to hold our hand and get us organized? Or is he calling out his other teammates? Is he calling out Jason Tatum? Is he calling out Marcus Smart? Is he calling out Al Horford? Who is he talking to? But he's talking to somebody. And that is a problem. Teams that are totally connected, teams that have total cohesion, they don't talk like that in the media. And Jaylen Brown is, and he's doing it more often. And that is why I'm worried about this team. I said you got to go and you got to win the whole thing this year. And the reason why is because I don't know that this thing's going to exist next year. Well, Jaylen Brown right there, look, he was calling out his teammates after the Atlanta game when they lost when Trae Young hit the game-winning 3 at home in Game 5. He's calling out somebody there. And then it's not just Jaylen Brown, it's Marcus Smart, who he was asked, what do you need to do in order to win Game 6?
It's a true dogfight. Scratching, clawing, biting, blood, everything. And if you're not willing to pretty much get dirty, if you're not willing to bleed, if you're not willing to break something, if you're not willing to tear something, going hard, then you shouldn't be on that court, because that's what it is. That's what the playoffs about. You know, hopefully you stay safe, but that's the mentality you got to go. You got to be able to risk it all for these games, and that's the mentality we got to have.
I mean, Smart's saying you got to be able to risk it all. Is he saying that people haven't been able to risk it all? Haven't been willing to risk it all? The Celtics are playing too soft, that they're playing too uninspired? That's kind of what it feels like to me. And teams that are connected, they don't do this. I think that, you know, I mean, look, Jaylen Brown is, after the Hawks game, he's pointing the finger. Yesterday, he's pointing the finger. I don't know at who, but he's pointing at somebody. And it sounds like Smart might be pointing the finger at people too, because I think he sees that he is willing to do that stuff. And I don't know that he thinks everybody else is. He's saying, look, man, you better get on board here. If you want to keep playing, you better get on board. It was a wholly disappointing effort. It was a wholly disappointing outcome. Look, it's one thing. Right, the Celtics shot poorly. It's one thing if you get wide open shots and it's great ball movement and things just aren't going in. It's one thing if the other team is just hitting everything. That all is one thing. But that wasn't really the case yesterday. Celtics looked disjointed offensively at times. Celtics were standing around at times. Celtics were settling at times. The first quarter was lack of effort. They're not rebounding. Can't really have that. Okay, you can't really have that. This was not a case where I felt like Philly just came and took it. It was a case where you came and you let them take it. You kind of gave it to them. I don't want to take away from what Embiid did. He was excellent. I don't want to take away from what Maxey did, but really the Celtics were just lethargic. And I thought if there's one game where the Celtics were not going to be lethargic, where they were going to come out, where they were going to stomp on somebody, it was going to be last night. How do I feel right now about the Celtics in this series? The answer is not good. They have the ability to win the next 2 games. They are as talented or, you know, they are as talented or more than Philly. Absolutely. I think they're deeper than Philly. I think they're better than Philly. But I don't feel good about their ability to win this because Philly now knows that they can own them psychologically, right? They've beaten them at home multiple times. They've beaten them in multiple ways with multiple guys. They've clearly seen multiple formulas work. They know they can go into their bag and pull out any number of different ways to win. So I would honestly, what do I think? I think the Celtics are going to wilt in Game 6. And I hope that I am wrong. I hope I am as wrong about that than I was last night. But it feels to me like the Celtics are going to wilt in Game 6, and it feels like right now they just do not have the mental toughness to be able to get this done. That is what it feels like to me. Joe says the Celtics are done. Stick a fork in them. They can't win it. They don't want it like the Sixers do. He says they're just like the Bruins. They can't win when it counts. The great regular season means absolutely nothing. I'm going to ask Freddie Coleman about the Celtics. Freddie's going to be with us at about 45 seconds. He's calling in right now. Let me get these quick words in. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio with us next during the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Start the year off right with the best prices on Western Clear vertical grain hemlock clapboards. All grades of cedar clapboards, pine shiplap, and tongue and groove. Cleveland Cedar Products are your wood siding specialists, and they have the best prices on all their siding. Cleveland also does the pre-staining. They'll do one side or both, plus a finish coat if needed. Henry delivers too. Family-owned Cleveland Cedar Products, 3 miles west of Wolcott Village on Route 15. Call Henry 888-5393 or log on to cedarguide.com.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
One of the nicest guys in sports talk radio, and one of the smartest.
Mac Jones went out there and he looked the part. Had command of the huddle, had command of his teammates. That is something that everybody thought they would see. No one thought they would see it this early.
It's time for our weekly conversation with ESPN's Freddie Coleman on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Continuing our conversation about the Boston Celtics. Celtics beaten by the Sixers last night, 115-103. Now trailing the series by a mark of 3-2 in this one. Freddie Coleman is with us now from ESPN Radio on the Brady Farkas Show. Freddie, thank you for being with us. In the words of the great Jerry Maguire, jump into my nightmare. The water is warm. What happened last night from your vantage point?
I don't know if there's any explanation other than the fact that, Brady, you and I have talked about this. This has been a goofy basketball team ever since they had the best record in early January. And it's just mind-boggling and maddening that you could come out there and be that flat after the first quarter in a pivotal Game 5 where you have home court advantage if it goes 7-2 out of the next 3 games. And then you go out there and they played soft. Let's call it as it is. They backed down. They allowed the 76ers to be more aggressive. They didn't match their aggression, and it seemed like at times they didn't care to match their aggression, hoping that their three-pointers or shooting themselves into the game and then shooting themselves in the lead. They took the least path responsible, and they got what they deserved, losing a game that was not even as close as the 12-point final score.
Yeah, there was an ugly performance last night by the C's, and now they're in an ugly situation, down 3-2. Got to go back to Philly. Let's talk about what Philly has done. Yes, the Celtics have given some of this to them, but they also have taken some of it. What have you thought of the performance from Embiid in particular?
Well, one thing that we've always talked about, Brady, you and I, when it comes to 21st century basketball and pace and space, but more than ever before, when you need a bucket, you need somebody that can go into the post and do that. And any team that's championship aspirations, they have that guy. Denver has that guy, Nikola Jokic. The Lakers are 2 of those guys, and Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And Philadelphia has that guy, Joel Embiid. And I wonder, I don't think we're going to see a paradigm shift back to the return of the big men. But more than ever before, you got to find somebody that in pace and space basketball, that when you need a bucket, it doesn't have to come from 25 feet and out or pull-ups or getting the floaters. It's nice to throw the ball inside to a guy. And let's be honest, Brady, the Boston Celtics were willing patsies because you would think at a certain point they would give Al Horford some help and run a double team with Joel Embiid when he was white hot and cooking, especially in the third quarter. And they didn't do that. I wonder how much that we can start to see a little bit in NBA basketball where we need shooters, but we need somebody inside to really give that kind of space to the shooters, get those better shots from the outside. And that's what happened last night.
You know, we spent all of the postmortem on Game 4 talking about whether or not Joe Mazzulla should have called a timeout. Yesterday, after the game, Jaylen Brown comes out and says, I think we need to be more organized. Is that a shot at Joe Mazzulla for not having the team organized, or is that a shot at his teammates for not being organized?
I think it's all of the above, to be honest with you, because they did look disorganized, whether it was play calling by Joe Mazzulla, just trying to get into their shots offensively. And plenty of times when a play broke down, they went too much one-on-one, which shows how much the defense of Philadelphia was really on that level when it came to Game 5 last night. But I thought at times they took some bad shots, 1-on-3, taking the 3 in transition, or trying to pull up going at the defense. You can do that once in a while if you think that you got the defense on their heels. But Philadelphia got to the point, Brady, where they were walling off anything everything, trying to get to the inside and trying to get an easier shot at the basket. So Jaylen Brown, just because he said it doesn't mean that he was wrong, because he was holding everybody accountable, not just Coach Joe Mazzulla and not just the players of the Boston Celtics.
You know, Freddie, your show starts at 9. You're prepping for your show before 9. This game is, at halftime come 9 o'clock. I'm curious, how do you stay so focused on your show while also being able to recount with such vivid detail what you've just recounted to us? How are you able to do it with one eye on the microphone and one eye on the television, I assume?
It goes back to my days when I used to do the NFL on ESPN radio every Sunday. And believe me, Brady, we had 8 games at one time or another that were going on. So you always had to have your eyes while you're paying attention to your co-host, but keeping an eye on anything. And if something really jumped out, you really honed in on it. And plenty of times I was able to do that. And I learned that great lesson from Eric Casillas and John Seibel, because they did the show before I took it over for a 2 or 3 year period. So that's when I'm able to do that, where I was able to watch 8 games at once. And when I did college football final, Mel Kiper Jr., watching 5 to 6 college games at once. So having a chance to do that, it's a lot easier for me to focus on 1 or 2 games that are going on instead of 8 or 9 I did every Saturday and Sunday for about 3 to 4 years.
Freddie Coleman, ESPN Radio, Freddie and Fitzsimmons. It's on weeknights at 9 p.m. Freddie, Mike Greenberg said this last week, and I think that it probably got a fairly strong reaction. It's overreacting. I don't think he was overreacting. He said, I think the Celtics are potentially playing for their future in these playoffs. If the Celtics don't win this series, do you think that this has danger of being blown up either by the organization or by Jaylen Brown? I would guess he'd be the guy going to the organization and saying, I want out. Is that a risk?
It is a risk. There's no doubt about it, because to bring some memory to our memory, they were in a similar situation last year, down 3 games to Milwaukee, won Game 6 on the road and won Game 7 at home, and that allowed them to advance to the NBA Finals. Now, that's a dangerous path to take. Think you can do that 2 years in a row, but at least they have that kind of history on their side. But no matter what happens, there's got to be a better understanding of what this organization has to be about, because let's say they get to the NBA Finals. Let's say they find a way to come back and win this series and then win the NBA Eastern Conference Finals and then win the NBA Finals. That doesn't mean that you can gloss over what seems to be a kind of disconnect, whether it's Tatum and Brown, whether it's the organization and Brown, whether it's whatever that is. They got to find a way to get back on the same page, because as much as Ime Udoka went off the rails with what he did off the basketball court, you never worry about the Celtics not being in lockstep on the basketball court. And maybe that is something that Joe Mazzulla has had to learn this year. Maybe he'll be better for it. We'll wait and see. But they got to find a way to make sure everybody on the organization is locked in more than we've seen, because they have way too much talent and mental capacity in terms of basketball intelligence to be the kind of goofy Celtics that we've seen since January.
What do you think of Tatum all in all? And just I hate to do this because I love Tatum. I think he's a great player and I know he's a max contract player, but he doesn't seem to have the killer instinct like a Jimmy Butler. And maybe it's just his demeanor, and I don't need him to be in guys' faces, but it does seem like he kind of lacks that oomph. Is that fair, or is that just being overly reactive?
No, it's not being overreactive, and here's why I believe you feel this way, because I felt this way for more than a minute as well about Jason Tatum. Sometimes he tries to do too much, and he knows he has the ability that he can get any shot he wants, where he can hit the 3, he can get in lane to pull up, he can advance to the rim. But normally superstars know, okay, no matter what, this is what I'm going to do in this situation and not make it up as I go along. You mentioned Jimmy Butler, Miami. If Jimmy Butler senses he has an advantage, he goes to that advantage until you take it away from him. Anthony Davis, when he gets in the low block, if you don't take that away, then he's just going to wear you behind out. Nikola Jokic being the scientist of the NBA, where any move he has, there's always a method to his madness to get the kind of shot that he wants for himself or somebody else. Any superstar in the history of the NBA, they always known that whatever situation happens, this is what they're going to do. This is what their counter is going to do. They don't try to do too much. I think at times Jason Tatum, knowing that he has the ability with the length, the ability to make shots over people and make those kind of shots and make those tough shots, I think at times he does too much, and then he puts himself in situations where he's not making himself available to get the best possible shot or do that for his team. When he plays under control, he can do that. When he tries to do too much, he puts himself in a world of hurt and in a world of negativity, and that's why I think he lacks the killer instinct, because he's trying to do too much.
I think it's interesting, too. You said it at the beginning of the interview about the Celtics trying to shoot their way into the game, and I think I think maybe Tatum falls victim to, like, he knows how good he is, that he never gets worried and rattled. And by the time you realize it, you get too late. Like, look, when I played the men's league hoop circuit, we're down 12-0. I'm like, no big deal. I'll just hit a couple threes and we're right back into it. And then sometimes it works, and sometimes you get boat raced by 30. I kind of feel like Tatum just thinks like, no big deal. We're down. I'll find a way to get us back into it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Is that fair?
It is fair, because you know why? There are times where guys can have irrational confidence, and that works for Steph Curry, because he's shown that he can have irrational confidence, but he has that ability to make shots, and we've seen him be even more of a playmaker at times this postseason. I mean, he had a triple-double in the last Game 4. They lost, but it wasn't his fault because he did everything possible. I think at times Jason Tatum should realize that if he has a matchup advantage, that you go at that person. I wouldn't mind seeing Boston put him in the post a little bit more, because more often than not, he's going to go up against somebody that is not the same height as he is. So if he gets a switch on the Tyrese Maxey or James Harden, why not have him go in the low block, because he can get that shot and shoot it over people? I think at times, because Boston is so wanting to get into an early shot, an early rhythm to try to get an open shot, I think at times when that bogs down, they don't go to a guy that has the kind of ability where you can put him a Jaylen Brown in a low block. They have a mismatch against somebody else, and then you can able to make that work, because those guys have shown they can be willing passers and find guys getting better open shots, or guys cutting from the slots and getting into the lane for easy finishes.
Are we going 7, or is this thing over in 6 and the Celtics wilt away?
See, as goofy as they are, Brady, I could see this team winning Game 6. So I think we are going to go 7. I could see this kind of team, as bad as they look in Game 5. And let's be honest now, all the pressure on Philadelphia, because you don't close this out in Game 6 in your home court. Now you got to go back and play a Game 7, even though you won 2 games in the series on the road. That's the last thing you need. So I think all the pressure on Philadelphia, because they have to close out in Game 6, because I don't think Philadelphia is going to win 3 road games in this series. So I think the Boston Celtics find a way to get it to Game 6, and then who knows what's going to happen with this goofy team in Game 7 in Boston over the weekend.
Freddie, I'll get you out of here on this one, just kind of off the path. NFL schedule comes out tomorrow. We know at this point the Patriots have had 1 game released. They're going to go to Germany. They're going to take on the Indianapolis Colts there. Are the Germans going to forgive us for sending them to Patriots and Colts? That we couldn't get a more appealing matchup than the Colts?
The thing about it is there may be more Americans over there than Germans ever since the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy and the Marines have been over there and all that kind of thing. But it shows you exactly the global reach that keeps getting accelerated each and every year when it comes to the National Football League, because as many people thought it's cool that Americans are living overseas, now American football comes to them. The American football imprint has been extremely, extremely large, courtesy of the NFL, where anytime they show the game, whether from Germany or from England, you see so many fans with different uniforms of the teams. They like seeing an NFL team in their stadium. So whatever forgiveness may or may not be there, the NFL continues to print money, and everybody knows it. And it's not just a domestic thing. It's now an international thing with the NFL more than ever before.
9:30 in the morning for Patriots and Colts. I never thought I'd see the day there. So, Freddie, thank you very much. We'll talk next week.
My pleasure, Brady. Hanging there, my brother. You never know, the Celtics could maybe surprise you and get to a Game 7 and win out when we think that was possible.
Let's certainly hope so. And by the way, I'll tell you real quickly, since we like to have fun with it, last week I had to drive to Cleveland and back twice in 3 days, which was very tough. And I got out of the car and I came back to the men's league hoop game. I'm sure I've played worse in my life, but I had to have gone like 5 for 25. Like, I tried to shoot myself into the game. You could not have shot worse than I did. And I probably single-handedly lost us the game last week.
I don't think you single-handedly lost it, but sometimes you got to have a John Starks moment. The question is, will you learn from more than John Starks did with the New York Knicks?
I'm going to have to get the ball down low. We got a big guy. He's going to have to touch it more than he did. That's for sure. So, no Freddie, doubt. Thank you.
My pleasure, brother. I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. We'll do just that. Freddie Coleman, ESPN Radio. Love Freddie on Freddie and Fitzsimmons. He's great. And, yeah, I shot terribly last week. I was absolutely horrible. Playoff game tomorrow, I'm going to have to be a whole hell of a lot better, that's for sure, because you could not have been a whole lot worse than I was. We got beat by like 25 or something, and a lot of it because of me. Bad shots, quick shots, ugly shots, missed shot. It was all of it was bad. Freddie had a lot of good stuff on the Celtics. I want to come back and recap what Freddie had to say there. Some stuff on Jason Tatum's mentality. I don't want to pile on him. I don't want to be a hypocrite, but there is something that I'm noticing here. Brady Farkas Show back after the CBS National News Update here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We are brought to you by Fecto Homes. Red Sox baseball comes up in about 20 minutes here on your home for the Red Sox, WDEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 91 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Republican Congressman George Santos is out on bond now after getting arrested on federal charges today. CBS's Matt Piper has the latest.
Congressman George Santos pleaded not guilty at a federal courthouse in central Islip, New York. Following his arraignment, he used a word often used by former President Trump.
It's a witch hunt.
Among the charges, the 34-year-old faces 7 counts of wire fraud and 3 counts of money laundering.
This is the beginning of the ability for me to address and defend myself.
Santos faces 20 years in prison for the most serious charge, but has vowed to clear his name. President Biden is pushing for Congress to raise the debt ceiling.
If we default on our debt, the whole world is in trouble. This is a manufactured crisis.
Mr. Biden's comments come one day after his face-to-face with Republican leaders at the White House and says they're not showing any signs of compromise. So they'll meet again on Friday. For the first time ever, women could have access to over-the-counter birth control pills if the FDA approves it later this summer.
Professor Amanda Jean Stevenson at the University of Colorado Boulder says the ability to control fertility improves people's lives, adding,
oral contraception has been safely used by tens of millions of people for decades.
Catholic groups oppose the move, saying women should be evaluated by a doctor. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
It is all hands on deck at the southern border right now.
We are in the process of surging personnel to the border, including more than 1,400 DHS personnel, 1,000 processing coordinators, and an additional 1,500 Department of Defense personnel.
That's Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. He says the extra manpower comes ahead of Title 42's expiration at midnight. After that, Title 8 takes effect, which would automatically deport migrants if they don't request asylum in another country. If you plan to travel this summer, why not fly with the best U.S. airline? CBS's Chris Van Cleve has the latest rankings from J.D. Power.
Southwest Airlines ranks the highest in customer satisfaction in the economy and basic economy segment, the way the bulk of people fly. Delta Airlines came in second, JetBlue third.
The Biden administration is still working on new guidelines for carriers if they cancel or delay flights. The Beatles just hit another milestone.
Here comes the sun.
One of the band's most famous hits there, Here Comes the Sun. It just topped 1 billion streams on Spotify. George Harrison wrote that track for the band's Abbey Road album in 1969. This is CBS News.
Find your next great hire with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
When they're investigating, we can't stop watching. This month on BritBox, sit back, relax, and enjoy watching the detectives. Discover Britain's most bingeable mysteries, including the brand new season of Grace, the hit series based on the books by best-selling author Peter James. Unwind with the detectives you could watch all night long. Stream them all now exclusively on BritBox. Endlessly intriguing. Start your free trial at BritBox.com.
If you're stuck on what to get mom this Mother's Day, consider this finger-licking good gift.
Nothing says I love you and appreciate you, Mom, like fried chicken. So KFC is giving 12 free nuggets to Mom from today through Mother's Day.
They're perfect. Tender, juicy, flavorful.
It's called the Nuggets of Appreciation Meal. It comes with sides, biscuits, and dipping sauces as well. They came up with the special because, according to their press release, moms love their little nuggets, both their kids and their fried chicken.
That's finger looking good.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
Comic books aren't just for superheroes. Harry Styles is getting one too. Fame is out today and covers the British singer's childhood, his time with One Direction, and going solo. Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Dolly Parton, they've all got comic books too. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball 15 minutes from now. We'll give you the Sox lineups for this one as they are taking on the Atlanta Braves. Game 2 of a quick 2-game set in Atlanta. Lost yesterday by a score of 9-3. The Braves are really, really good. A lot of good stuff with Freddie Coleman talking about the Celtics. One, Freddie agrees with me. The Celtics are at risk here of falling apart. And I don't know yet on what exact way it would manifest itself, but it absolutely can happen. And you should be worried about it. This is what happens in the NBA. This is what happens when guys are in contract years. This is what happens when you don't win and when you're supposed to win. I fear that this thing could fall apart. And that's why I'm so nervous. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, this team's got next year. This team's going to continue growing. I don't know that that's the case with the Celtics. And Freddie's worried about it too. There does seem to be a disconnect, right? Jaylen Brown is upset with the organization that he's been in trade rumors forever. Now he's taking shots at his teammates in the Atlanta series. Now he's taking shots, I think, at his head coach yesterday. And even if Jaylen Brown is telling the truth, even if Jaylen Brown and you're like, hey, it's not wrong. Okay, fine. It might not be wrong, but it's not necessarily something you want to say publicly. Think about with your significant other. You may say something, right? There might be something that you fight, and you say something that's true, and the relationship's not really the same after that. There seems to be some swiping at each other. Marcus Smart, is he taking shots? We know that Brown and Smart have jawed in the past. I just don't know. I just get this eerie feeling that something could happen. The All-NBA teams are going to get announced tonight. Jaylen Brown's going to be eligible if he makes an All-NBA team for like a $295 million extension. Do the Celtics want to pay him $295 and Tatum over $300 million? Because that's what's coming. Or do they look at it and say, you know what? We haven't won. We don't want to pay both of them. We'll trade Jaylen Brown in the last year of his contract to go get a boatload of draft picks or go get some other players. We'll try it with a different combination of people. That can happen, and I'm nervous about it. I'm very nervous about it. We see this in the NBA all the time, right? You look around the league at the disgruntled superstar or the superstar relationship. Kawhi Leonard wanted out of San Antonio. Paul George wanted out of Indiana. Paul George wanted out of Oklahoma City. Dwight Howard wanted out. Chris Paul wanted out. Kevin Durant's wanted out. Kyrie Irving's wanted out multiple times. This happens in the league every offseason where there's somebody who wants to move. I don't know that that's not going to be Jaylen Brown. So, I'm nervous about it. Number 2, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. I haven't bashed Jason Tatum all season, right? We all know how good Jason Tatum is. Jason Tatum is an elite level player. He's an all-star. He's the best player on the Celtics. He is a top 10, top 12 player in the league. By some people's metrics, he's probably a top 5 player in the league. Jason Tatum is awesome, and I love watching him play. But I am noticing that I think he is a little lax. I don't mean lazy, but like a little too chill. And in the playoffs, I think you need a little more killer instinct. I think Jaylen Brown has that killer instinct. That's why I've said lately I'd rather have Jaylen Brown with the ball in his hands at the end of the game than Jason Tatum when the game is close. I think Brown has that kind of desire to get to the basket, the ability to get to the basket. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to make things happen. I don't I don't know that Tatum has that. I haven't really seen it. I've seen him go off, right? I've seen him get 40-point games. I've seen him score 35 at will. I've seen him go for 50 before. Jason Tatum is a great player, but in the playoffs, you need a killer instinct, and I just don't see it from Jason Tatum. And Freddie and I use the example, and it's something I think we can all relate to. I play men's league hoops, right? Obviously, no, nothing like the NBA. But I know that I'm a good shooter. So when we're playing and we get down early, right? 5-0, 7-0, 12-2, 14-6, 21-11. In my mind, oftentimes, I'm like, no big deal. I'm going to come down. I'm going to hit a 3 or 2. We're going to be right back in the game, and we're all going to be good. I think. And then sometimes that works, right? Sometimes you get hot, sometimes that works, and sometimes you get beat by 30 because you shoot like I did last week. I think Jason Tatum has a little bit of that. I don't know that he has the killer instinct and the urgency. And I don't think that he's being lazy. I just think it's in his demeanor. One, he's not a particularly intense guy. And two, he's so good and he knows it that he's often not going to stress and he's not going to worry. And then you look up, and you're down 18-7, and you're down 25-14, and you're down 37-21. And you just keep thinking, okay, I'm going to get hot eventually. But that doesn't always work, not in the NBA. Yet I don't want to go at Tatum because I haven't gone at Tatum all year, right? Like that's not something that I have done a lot of. I don't want to be a hypocrite, but I am noticing that he just doesn't seem to have the killer instinct. I think that Jaylen Brown has it. We clearly see that Jimmy Butler has it. And it's a hard thing, right? Not everybody's got it. Steph Curry has it. LeBron has it. There's been questions about if AD has it. Kawhi Leonard has it. There's been questions about if AD has it. There have been questions about if anybody in the Knicks has it, if Julius Randle has it. There's been questions about if a lot of guys have it. Most people don't have the killer instinct. Kevin Durant has it. But, does James Harden have it? We've wondered that. Embiid, it's a small group of people that have got it. And right now, Tatum doesn't seem to have it. Texter says, look at the Celtics' home record the last 16 games. I presume you mean in the playoffs. We talked about that in the 5 o'clock hour. Yeah, they're 7-9. They're 7-9 in the playoffs in their last 16 games at home. That is an embarrassment. It is supposed to be home court advantage, and the Celtics have given it away and fumbled it away far too frequently, and that's not something you can do. Freddie thinks they're going to win Game 6 and go Game 7 because basically the Celtics operate on kind of this opposite paradigm. When you think they're going to play great, they play terrible. When you think they're going to play terrible, they play great. I think I am fearful now that they're just going to fold. That they're going to try hard early. It's not going to go their way, and then they're going to wilt. And they're going to go away. That's my fear. I hope I'm wrong. I was wrong last night. I thought they were going to smoke Philly, and they got smoked instead. Hopefully I'm wrong again. I would love nothing more than to be wrong. But it feels like, to me at least, the Celtics are going to run away and hide tomorrow. Not in a good way. Like they're going to cower at some point. I think they're just going to wilt. Again, I hope I'm wrong. One NFL note here. The NFL schedule gets released tomorrow. I find myself less interested in the schedule coming out every year. I love football, but like I'm more in love right now with baseball and basketball because it's baseball and basketball season. I am less interested in making football a 24-hour a day, 12-month a year sport, but I just find myself a little less interested in the schedule. I am interested in the fact that the Patriots are projected to play, I think, the 3rd or 5th hardest schedule in the league based on last year, winning percentage-wise. They're playing a lot of really good teams. That's hard. And then today we got the nugget that they're going to go play the Colts in Germany. We knew they were going to Germany. Texter said, thanks for sending the Patriots to Germany, Goodell. Well, we knew the Pats were going to Germany last year. We have known that for a couple of months now. Patriots have the international agreement with Germany. That's listed as their international territory. success of the game last year between Seattle and Tampa. We knew there were going to be 2 games this year. We got word very early it was going to be Kansas City and the Patriots. What I don't love is that the Colts and the Patriots are the teams playing over there. The Colts don't, figure to be very good. And I guess maybe the NFL doesn't want to give what would be a, quote, high-profile game to Germany, although they did that the week before. Is the Patriots going to play Week 10? Week 9 is going to be the Chiefs and Dolphins. That's a high-profile game. That's Patrick Mahomes against Tyreek Hill. That's Tyreek Hill against his former team. That's 2 teams that went to the playoffs last year. So they gave Germany a good game in one week. Did they not want to give them a good game the other week? Patriots and Colts doesn't figure to be a particularly good game, I don't think. I don't think the Pats are a great team. I don't think Indy is a particularly great team. They drafted a quarterback in the top, they drafted Anthony Richardson, number 4 overall. They're going to start him, I'm sure. And then, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a great game to me. I thought the Patriots and Saints would have been better. Patriots and Chargers would have been better from a competition standpoint, although, I don't think it would have been fair to send LA 3,000 miles further than the Patriots, but you send Indy, I think you're getting a very good team. Kyle in South Burlington says Joe Mazzulla is over his head. Trade Jaylen Brown after the season. He's a malcontent. Sign an impact free agent. There's a lot to unpack there. Joe Mazzulla might be over his head, but you know what? He didn't ask for this. He didn't ask. Now, listen. There's a couple things at play here. One, Joe Mazzulla didn't ask for this. He didn't ask for Ime Udoka to commit workplace improprieties and get fired on the eve of the season or suspended on the eve of the season. So Joe Mazzulla didn't ask to be put in this position. He didn't sign up to be a 34-year-old first-time head coach who'd never been a lead assistant before. The Celtics didn't need to give him a multi-year deal. Now, it was fair that they did, given the success that they were having, but they didn't have to. So don't blame Mazzulla for being in this spot. He might be over his head. He was never supposed to be in this spot. Trade Jaylen Brown after the season. I guess I have to see what comes out after the season here. If they lose in Game 6, I want to hear what Jaylen Brown has to say. If they lose in Game 7, I want to hear what Jaylen Brown has to say. I don't know that you're going to find anybody better than Jaylen Brown on the free agent market, right? I don't know that you're going to. I want to see if I can see quickly a list of NBA free agents coming up this year. I mean, let's look and see who there is. Russell Westbrook? No. James Harden, Chris Middleton, they've got kind of first right of refusal with their teams. Kyrie? No. Kristaps Porzingis? No. D'Angelo Russell? No. Kevin Love? I mean, not as a impact player. Harrison Barnes, I mean, he might make some sense. He's not better than Jaylen Brown, though. He's going to be 31 years old. Karis LeVert, he's a good player. There's no impact that's better than Jaylen Brown. There are players that are good, but there's nobody that's better than Jaylen Brown, one-on-one there. Now, you might find some better value money-wise, et cetera, but you're not going to find a better player. Red Sox Braves, game 2 of 2 from Atlanta, Truist Park. The Braves are 25-11. The Red Sox are 21-16. Braves are in first place in the NL East. Red Sox fourth in the AL East. Brian Bayo starts in this one for Boston. He's 1-1 with a 5.71 ERA. Dylan Lee, the lefty, gets the start for Atlanta. I don't know how long he'll be in this one, more of a bullpen arm. Rob Refsnyder leads off in left. He's hitting .236. Alex Verdugo's in right, hitting .317. Justin Turner's the third baseman today. He's at .273. Masataka Yoshida's back in the cleanup spot at DH. Kike Hernandez is the shortstop. Jarren Duran is in center. Tristan Casas is at first. Connor Wong, the catcher. And Manuel Valdez is the second baseman. He bats ninth. No Rafael Devers in the lineup today. Interesting. I think the Red Sox don't anticipate that Lee will be in the game long because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lefties in their starting lineup. Usually you wouldn't see 5 lefties going up against a lefty starter, but they think that Lee won't be in very long. Ronald Acuna Jr. leads off for Atlanta. Matt Olson is at first. Austin Riley is at third. He's struggling, hitting .239 today, or coming into today. Sean Murphy is just destroying people right now. When he destroyed the Red Sox, he's at DH. Eddie Rosario is in left. Ozzie Albies is the second baseman, hitting .280 with 9 homers and 27 ribbies. Travis d'Arnaud, who's missed a lot of time this year with concussions, he's back today. He's at the 7 spot in catching. Michael Harris, the second, the reigning NL Rookie of the Year, is in center, and Orlando Arcia, who had a good day yesterday, is hitting .358, recently back from injury. He is the shortstop, and he bats 9th. No Red Sox baseball tomorrow, so we've got a full show tomorrow. We'll have all 90 minutes. Can't wait to bring it to you here in the Brady Farkas Show. Tomorrow we'll talk Patriots with Mark Schofield of the of various outlets. He's awesome when it comes to talking Pats, and we'll see what we know, if anything, about the schedule heading into tomorrow night's release. Go Sox! See you tomorrow on DEV.
It's time for the Mass Mutual Red Sox pregame show. Proudly brought to you by Mass Mutual. Mass Mutual. Insurance, planning, investments. Now, here's Rich Key.